Hi, my name is Sam, and welcome to my apartment.
And this is the How Was It podcast, a podcast about sex and sexualities. I am your host, Silke. And so today we're here with Sam. Sam is a very interesting person. They are genderqueer, they are a parent, and they're my cuddle buddy. So let's get into bed. Okay, we are in bed now, as usual, because we know each other. We actually know each other through a dating app. But tell me a little bit about yourself and how you identify, what your pronouns are. Who are you?
Who are? That's such a wide question, but that's fine. So I'm Sam, and I'm 28, and I'm a genderqueer trans masc person. A whole lot.
Yes.
And my pronouns are he and they.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So tell me about being genderqueer trans masc. How did you find out about that label, or like that works for you?
So I think I've always had this feeling of like women being another species than me, but also not feeling like I would like fit the male category 100%.
Yeah.
But it was like more like an awkward feeling than I didn't really realize what that meant.
Yeah.
But I think basically, so throughout like high school, I would just like accept the fact that I was very different. And yeah, I would like just try not to think about it a lot. But eventually, my body decided to make a child.
That happens.
That
just
happens.
casually. Yeah.
And with this, I got like a bunch of like body dysphoria.
Yeah.
And then I realized how like serious this gender thing was. Also because there's like a lot of stereotyping around parents, and I didn't fit any box, and I felt like very weird most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I kind of started like reading into things more, and eventually like this like non-binary stuff got into the society more.
Yeah.
And I thought it's basically like another box with another rule, and I was like, I don't want to follow like any rules. And I had like my sexuality, I've been like saying I was queer for quite a while, because queer like doesn't like have any rules, it's just there. And I think because of this dating app where we met, there was this option of choosing gender queer, and I was like, ooh, you can also be queer in your gender.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah.
That's the same way for me. For finding that label was through that dating app.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Field.
Yeah. And so you're saying genderqueer and then also trans and masc. So what do you mean with that, and like how?
So I think the trans part for me is that I like experience like body dysphoria, which means that I eventually would like to transition medically, like with hormones.
Yeah.
So like what's in my mind doesn't fit what's on my body, basically.
Yeah.
So I think this for me means that transgender thing, but I think for a lot of people it means different things. For some people it's like only like a social transition, but for me it's not. So
Yeah. So for you, trans means also like taking hormones and
eventually, yeah.
Yeah. And are you starting, because you were gonna start with that, right?
Yeah, I'm on a waiting list.
Yeah.
So I'm on a waiting list, I think, for 3 more months before the first, like, the intake. So after that, it's gonna take, I think, around a year before anything actually starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And mask. He also said that. What do you mean with that?
Yeah, so I think this is the part that I'm like that's like connected to this hormones of like taking testosterone, having masculine body features, but not necessarily like society's rules of masculine. But I'm just making my own rules.
Sure. Yeah, no labels, no rules.
Yeah.
You were saying that you have a child.
Yes.
How is that? How is being a parent?
It's very interesting. I think especially at my age, which I'm relatively young. I was 24 when I became a parent.
Yeah.
So my kid is now 4. And I think like apart from this, like it being different than a lot of people in my surroundings, how they are living their lives, it's been a journey, especially with like self-discovery. Like being in like a family situation, like having one partner and raising a kid and, paying the bills, not having a lot of freedom, like in that kind of way.
Yeah.
To now where I'm like co-parenting my kid and having like 50% of my time as a young person and then 50% of my time as like a parent.
Yeah. What do you mean with co-parenting? I know, but
so like my child is like with me for half of the time and the other half of the time they're with my ex-partner.
Yeah. And you were saying like you have half of the time free time and like half of the time you're a parent. How do you see that contrast? Like,
yeah, it's the biggest contrast you can think of. So I think when we decided to do co-parenting, I kind of had this thought in my brain that I would like, because I got together with my previous partner when I was 20, I think. So I was kind of young and it was my first like real relationship and I didn't have like a lot of experience with anything. So when we decided to do co-parenting instead of full-time parenting, I was like, maybe I'm gonna use this time to like finally experiment and have like a more free or like wild life when I'm not having a kid,
Yeah.
So yeah, basically my time is definitely being spent a different way than I'm with my kid.
Great, we'll go into that later. But I asked you how is being a parent, but like how is being a parent as a genderqueer person?
Yeah.
Do you experience that differently? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so there's a lot of like expectations that comes from society, from being a parent, and especially from being the parent that created the kid to keep it gender neutral. So I found out there's like an instant way of like people getting together, like moms are getting together to bond over the fact that they're having a child, and dads are also getting together to bond over this fact of having a child.
Yeah.
And then there's me. And over the years I tried like all these kind of groups, like because it's nice to have some people in your life to like talk about certain things, and like if you're having any problems with raising your kid, it's nice to have like some society to fall back on.
Yeah.
But as you're not really like fitting in one of these categories, I realized it's a lot of culture around being a mom, for example. This division between male and female parents is like way more old school or old fashioned than I imagined it to be, basically.
Yeah. And are there people around you that experience that the same way, like that are also not moms and dads that you can fall back onto, or
no? So basically I've been like trying to build like a more queer community around myself, but I think most of them are childless.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Come make some.
No, thank you. Yeah, and how is dating when you have a kid? Like, how do you? 'Cause you're co-parenting, so it's probably in your free time.
Yes.
But
It's interesting. So I have this, there are people on dating apps that put like a picture with them and their child within their pictures. Like, right, like it's like their fixed identity to be a parent, basically.
Yeah.
And I like consciously like make it like separately from each other, which is like nice at one point because people don't have like they don't assume anything about me when I start to get to know it, but at some point I have to tell them that I have have a kid.
Yeah, I remember that moment that you told me, and I was like,
You were silent.
yeah. No, I think I replied, okay, but internally I was like,
Yeah, I was like, I feel a vibe here.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it's all right.
yeah. So I think this is the hardest part that especially when I'm like dating with younger people, like beginning of 20s. It's like more of a shock for them basically than if I'm dating someone like in their 30s. It's like, oh, that's cool, and they usually have like friends that have kids or stuff. So yeah, it's a difference between those things.
Yeah. And how do you date those people?
How do
Like,
I date?
who do you date? What is your dating life?
It's a mess, basically. No, it's not a mess. It's nice. I'm having a good time with it. Yeah, I could go into relationship anarchy, but it's a long story.
Keep it short.
Keep it short. I'm gonna try to keep it short. So basically, I like meeting people, and then based on the vibe that I have with this person, I will build the dating or the relationship. So I'm not only dating for love, basically.
Yeah.
Short enough?
Sure. Okay, so what are you looking for right now? Like, regardless of being like genderqueer and a parent, but like what?
I think I'm looking for something that I kind of found, like some kind of community where people around me are queer and sex positive, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found it already?
I mean, I think I'm building. I'm quite on the good. Yeah.
Where are those people?
In Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not here. Yeah.
Because we live both in Leeuwarden, and we've both been looking for more queer people.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how come you found them in Amsterdam?
So I've been so the last few months of my like long-term relationship, we opened up. We became like a polyamorous relationship situation, and I started seeing someone in Amsterdam, which motivated me a lot to go there more often. And then I found out that a lot of like queer and artsy events are taking place there. And then I met more people, and now I'm just there mostly half of the week, probably.
How do you find them? And what kind of connections are you looking for with those people?
So I find them like either on Field. Field is great. Life-changing app.
We should get a sponsorship from Field.
Yeah, mostly on Field, but also on at like sex positive events. So
what are sex positive events?
So it could be like events where they just have like workshops and talks about sexuality, basically, about diversity of sexualities and gender, but also more like active events, which are called like play parties.
Right. And what are those play parties? What do you play?
You play sex. No, it's not necessarily sex though. So most of these play parties are like sex and kink positive spaces where you can basically just choose to dance or go up to a dark room.
All right. Have you ever gone up a dark room?
I have. Yeah.
How was it?
Yeah, it's nice or interesting to say the least.
I bet.
Yeah, the fun things about dark rooms, it's, you have like a location to go to on the party itself. So you don't have to like wait to take someone home or have doubts. You can just hang out with people, and then at some point, like if you're vibing, you can say, hey,
Let's go.
we can check out this dark rooms upstairs. Do you wanna?
What does it look like up there?
So it depends on the party. It's different everywhere. Like some. Now it sounds like I go to these places a lot, but it's like only 3 times, so I don't have a lot of references. But in my experience, like some venues will have like more like closed off cabins where you have like a door that you can lock, whereas others have like a more open space, and then maybe like put on some curtains between mattresses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like mattresses are just on the floor or something, or
Yeah, you have like mattresses or pillows or like couch,
okay.
stuff like this.
How about hygiene?
So not all parties are great with this, but there are some that are very like giving, like when like most people arrive to the parties, they will have like a gathering and then tell about like safety rules, where to find like cleaning stuff, gloves, condoms, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but then it's like basically your own responsibility to.
Clean up after yourself or
Yeah.
something, and
Yeah. So
all right.
it's questionable, but that's fine.
I mean, so is going into like a student bedroom or something.
Yeah. So I heard.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Okay. So I already kind of asked the "how was it" question, but our podcast is called "How was it?"
Mhm.
And so I would love to know, how was your last time having sex, and how was it?
So my last time was not too long ago. Yeah. So I just had like a date with a non-binary person, and we were just supposed to only have drinks.
How'd you meet them?
Fields. Yeah. So we just hang out and then got. We just talked. It was like nothing like specifically romantic, but then I asked like, "Hey, should we get another drink?" Or, and they were like, "Yeah, or you can just come to my apartment." So I did.
And then
So we talked a bit about like basically kink kind of stuff, where he wanted to like practice his rope skills, and I was like, "You can practice on me." So yeah, we had a nice night.
okay, so what do you mean with like rope? Like,
So
how do I imagine that?
So, you have this specific kind of like Japanese rope art, which is called shibari.
Yeah.
Which you make like basically pretty nuts on bodies, and you doesn't really have to mean that you're like attached to something. Can just be like basically like a piece of clothing to add to like aesthetics.
Okay. So that's what he did.
Yeah, I just like made like a top, which was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we had like a nice 6 times of fucking in one night.
6 times.
Yeah, apparently, or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that like the whole night? Did you get any sleep?
Yeah, we did get sleep. Yeah. It was like one time to get to know each other. Then the second time to,
Get to know each other better.
yes. And then,
And then
I think we took a break to have water. Very important to hydrate.
yeah.
And yeah, then I think we just like in between we kept talking about like sexual preferences, so we just were constantly kind of like turned on. So just one touch would mean we would fuck again, basically. And then at some point ordered food, and then maybe fucked again, and went to sleep. And then the next morning, we were touching again. So
Yeah. All right. How is having sex as like with a non-binary and you?
as a genderqueer person,
Yes.
yeah. So I really value when I sleep with people that they don't see me as a female, even though I have a feminine body. So I make sure that the other person like understands this. So I think like the most thing is that you don't really like use things like, oh, you're like a pretty girl, or like gendered language within communication during sex.
Yeah.
And if you're sleeping with a person that's also not on the binary of gender, this is like normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it on a scale from 1 to 10?
From 1 to 10, I would say 8.
Explain why it's not a 10.
I mean, I think if you're like sleeping with someone for the first time, there's always like improvements, right?
Yeah, but you had 5 times to talk about it to improve it.
Yeah, but still, like, I think the best sex comes from like seeing a person like very regularly, waiting, like knowing what movements you and the other person like knowing each other's preferences and getting like the hang of it. So there will in these first times there will be like awkward moments where something is not working.
Yeah. So will there be more?
Not only depending on me, but probably.
If it was up to you.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Okay, so now I will have a lot of questions for you. We call them rapid fire questions. You will like you only have to answer with like yes or no or like short answers.
Mhm.
If you want to say more, that's fine. Do you feel rightfully represented in the LGBTQIA+ community?
I think I have a question on this question.
Sure.
Like within the community or by the society?
Within the community.
I would say yeah.
It's a true or false statement. Genderqueer parents confuse their children about gender.
False.
How do you feel about your kid growing up in a binary society?
Not great, as he gets taught a lot of binary thoughts, which I'm kind of trying to prevent.
Yeah. Are you attracted to any gender?
Yes.
Is there any gender you dislike?
I mean, not necessarily. Like, I wouldn't say like every gender has a. But I would say like the most people I dislike would be cis male.
Okay. Have you ever had an orgy?
No.
Would you join mine?
Yes.
Are you still getting your period?
Yes.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
Do you sometimes still feel like a woman?
No.
Which bathroom do you take in a public bathroom?
I panic.
Do you go to any?
Like the how is it, the special needs one?
Yeah.
When there is one.
Do you feel like people understand you when you say you're a genderqueer?
Here, no.
Where would it
like in bigger cities, there's a bigger chance people would understand it.
Do you get upset when people misgender you?
Depends on who does. Like, I cannot blame people that don't know me, like people in stores and stuff. But when people that I know do it, yeah.
How upset?
Also depends on how much they misgender me.
Scale.
I would say like 7, maybe.
All right. What is your personal ick about dating people?
Personal ick.
Ick. You don't know what an
No.
ick is? Like your cringe. Like
my cringe.
yeah.
So as a person that's not monogamous, I would say it's people that let their like nesting partner have rules about what the person that I'm dating with can and cannot do.
Yes, I don't think people understand what a nesting partner is.
Like
but yes.
How can I explain in a few words? Like the person that they're, for example, living together, like a primary partner.
Yeah, that's
Still
still their main partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally agree. All right, that was it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let's get out of bed.
Yes, it's warm. It's hot in here.
It's getting hot in here. Thank you for listening and watching if you were. This was the podcast with Sam. I already knew Sam, but it was great to talk with them about who they are as a person and as a parent. I think it's a great representation actually to talk about being a parent as a genderqueer person. And yeah, if you want to listen to more episodes, you can find us on matters.frl and on Spotify. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at how_was_it_podcast and slide in our DMs and maybe we can tell you where Sam goes to the play parties. And I will see you next week. Bye.